The future of the Earth. Revealed. December 19, 2029 is Doomsday. Crick. A little cricket, but the smartest creature. And the probable successor to humans sat on the podium next to the microphone to present the full news of the impending 2029's catastrophic pole reversal, as he was also the representative of 50,000 insect species at this conference. Crick carried a lot of weight. Although he was but an ounce himself, he looked out upon the smiling faces, wondering how to gently break the news of the actual truth.
Welcome, I bring you to the central purpose of this gathering, the very highlight of it all.
The doom of the Earth, for sure, in 2029. The crowd gasped, spirits plunged, for the Earth had the highest centers of learning and technology.
Crick continued, the Mayans were right about ending their calendar with the year 2029.
For it is then that the Earth goes into its great bipolar disorder, and then on into the mania stage.
Cries of astonishment swept over the attendees as they cried out in the vein of
No, it can't be!
What will become of us all on Earth and those of us who depend on its grace?
Wealth and style.
A tear came to the little cricket's eye.
'Tis true that in 2029, on December 20, that the North and South Poles will be no more, and the East and West Poles will be born. It will be a time of unprecedented upheaval that perhaps no one can survive but a few bacteria.
Holy Tim's donuts.
Exclaimed Graham.
A north-south reversal would have been bad enough.
Is there something holy about a donut?
Rough Pad asked.
Before Graham could answer,
Jenny wondered aloud, is the donut hole really a nothing? And so then does a nothing exist?
if I just eat the whole, will I gain weight?
Ostano asked.
Graham shock said, Ostano, I can't believe you ate the thing!
Crick intervened, we don't have to worry about that philosophical kind of stuff now. And by the way, nothing exists, but it isn't even there to exist.
Now, we have only a few glorious moments left to live, and in which to figure out a solution.
Pandemonium swept the onlookers, some bedlam, chaos, mayhem, uproar, turmoil, tumult, commotion, confusion, furor, hubbub, rumpus, hullabaloo, and hoopla followed. Crick waited calmly for all these moniums to subside.
Then continued, perhaps some people and animals could make it through by living on mountaintops, but that would be a really harsh life pulled out of thin air. As for us insects, we could all fit into a spacecraft, but it's the humans that I'm worried about. We can only transport a few thousand of them. However, they'd probably want to bring all their stuff along, and so then there would hardly be any room left. Plus, we still need to find a whole new world containing the right mixture of oxygen and nitrogen.
That's it, said Time Particle. We'll go to that fantasy world that I've often showed online with pictures.
Crick answered.
TP, that world only exists in art.
Oh, sighed TP.
Well, I'll bring only half of my comic book collection, and just half of my wife's.
The top half or the bottom half?
Asked Graham of TP.
Okay, guys, said Crick.
Let's get serious. Comic books are a necessity. What are we going to do about 2029? On the last day of autumn, before the mother of all winters crashes down upon us.
The hail with that ice. Graham replied, I'll build a magnetosphere to float in the atmosphere to house all of us.
Crick sighed. That won't work. The magnetic fields will be fluxing all over the place.
Not to mention some unmentionables.
Underwear? Graham asked.
No, said Crick. Category 8 hurricanes, magnitude 12 earthquakes, and 100-foot waves of water all over the place, not to mention increased global warming and continuous fires, which I won't.
Kashana suggested we could hire that psychic who just won all the lotteries and was banned from entering them. She could tell us if this 2029 thing is really gonna happen.
But not what to do about it.
Well, get her on a supersonic plane to join us here. Any other ideas?
Greybeard stood up. This is just the natural course of things. There have been 99% extinctions before the fittest will survive.
Such as some Eskimos in the Yukon, but they will need refrigerators, no sweat. This is nothing but a pruning of the species. The world is a big bunch of crap now anyway.
Okay, everyone, relax. Said Crick, for natural means good.
We need preservatives.
MJA cried out.
Any ideas?
You could pickle yourself, noted somebody.
Melanie reassured everyone, all is just a dream, but it will be an ice-cold, freezing one, making us so stiff.
So what happens after we die?
David wondered.
There's a billion-word thread on that question.
What's the point of existence? Kraftbat queried, if it all just goes away.
That point is thought to be a singularity.
Singularities cause equations to give us infinity.
Jenny perked up, that is the correct answer.
Crick really wished to calm everyone's nerves.
There is an eternal return, for behind the veil being that which ever thrives. The eternal cycle has ever been alive, and well knows how these bubbles to pour of existence in this sub-universe that rewrites your poem and mine there, every verse.
You mean, Crick, that our atoms will be reconstituted as other beings that won't exactly be us as we are now?
True, but we all live on yester's credit line, in nowhere's midst, now in this life of thine, as of its bowl our cup of brew was mixed into this state of being that's called mind.
So what?
Yet worry you that this cosmos is the last, that the likes of us will become the past. Space wondering whither whence we went after the last of us her life has spent.
I sure do.
The eternal cycle has thus formed trillions of bubbles like ours and will form forevermore. The comings and passings of which it ever emits to immerse these universal bubbles blown and burst.
I like being alive here.
So fear not lest a debit close your account and mine, knowing the like no more, that eternal cycle from its pot has poured zillions of bubbles like ours and will pour.
But they won't be us.
When you and I behind the cloak are past, but the long while the next universe shall last, which of our approach and departure knows as might the sea's self-heed a pebble cast.
That's very poetic, Crick. But we need some ideas for the here and now.
Bend over and kiss your ass goodbye.
Oh, greatest of all, tell us what the future holds.
No, for you won't like it.
We really want to know.
Okay. In the near future, via the great quantum computer projecting, like the one on the Daddy Vest show on Hulu. I saw that. The Lake Tahoe area is mostly saved from the fires, but its ski chair lifts get charred. The Hoover Dam in the western U.S. held back nothing. Its lake having gone dry, people suggested building a water pipeline to the west from the east. For the east had plenty of water from all the remnants of hurricanes that used up all the names from 3 alphabets in 1 year. Congress bickered over it, and then killed it. Afghanistan became a safe haven for terrorists to operate from, and the Taliban went back to their old torturous ways, strictly enforcing the will of Allah. What remained of Haiti from earthquakes was destroyed by a Category 6 hurricane. They had but a few trees and none afterward. And so again, the island suffered severe erosion. The hurricane kept right on going and ground Cuba into the ground. Trump
got re-elected and still said that global warming was a hoax and defunded science. Evangelicals danced in the streets. The COVID Zeta variant virus had evolved to be able to remain alive for 400 feet. And so this became the main concern for a while, drawing resources and attention away from the planet's heat crisis until all the unvaccinated had died. Booster shots were needed for the rest. Meanwhile, the ice caps had melted and were gone. Greenland became truly green, whose name was but an advertising ploy after not so many had moved to Iceland, but then caught on fire and turned a charcoal color. Iceland had no more ice, and so was renamed No Iceland. Much of the world had been ablaze for years now, and recently a high cyclone, one of so many, had killed 150,000 people in Myanmar, and earthquakes had done in many more in China and elsewhere, as well as did a record number of tornadoes that had continued to sweep across many countries.
Temperatures often hit 130 degrees. A tsunami sprung from the Atlantic and washed over Florida,
Coast to coast.
another one came forth in the Pacific from the deep Marianas Trench, sinking Baja Mexico City, disappeared into a sinkhole. Quebec province was severed from Canada by waves and floated back towards France, where they had always wanted to be.
Africa sunk 2 feet in an hour.
The Indian Ocean washed out Sri Lanka and entered the Indian subcontinent.
Siberia sunk into a mush of methane gas, increasing the warming even more. Sicily got the boot from Italy. Alaska gushed oil all over the place. Gibraltar fell and sunk and closed off the Mediterranean Sea. All were aghast to see the LAX airport fracture and slide into the ocean. The Amazon jungle flooded, what was left of it, after all the trees had been cut for lumber. Monarchy erupted and buried Hilo. Hawaii, Krakatoa came back to life.
Sumatra went under.
Finally, the San Andreas Fault could take it no more and moved 1,200 feet. What was left of California had become a small island. New Orleans was washed away like silt from a river. What was left of Mexico moved into Texas, where it used to be Notre Dame Cathedral in France crumbled away into dust. The Eiffel Tower lived up to its name and tipped over.
President Trump declared martial law and gave himself another term in office. The Arizona County recount from 2021 was still going on.
Russia shook and shook, destroying their nuclear reactors.
Japan went under.
In the Philippines, only the mountains broke the sea.
Australia just about cracked in half.
Antarctica sunk 10 feet and out of sight.
The pyramids crumbled, exposing the rulers of old. The Panama Canal closed. Vatican City was no more. Rome was waterlogged. Venice was long gone.
It was all the beginning of the mother of all near extinctions. One that might erase 99% of all life. A 50-mile section of the Alps disappeared, looking as if it were never there. You could see right through the gap. When all of Florida easily went under, being that it was already at sea level, the world really woke up to the end of days, but it was much too late.
Every very coastal city in the world had been inundated. For water always finds its way in northern Canada,
Along with its eastern and western sections.
was no more as part of the Great Lake of the North.
Only the now more temperate interior remained dry.
It's filling up with more and more people and tropical birds by the day.
small portion of Siberia was quite usable too. For a while, only being at 100 degrees. And an iffy part of Argentina was okay.
Alaska was gone to its mountains, as were Central and Latin America, and most of Mexico. There were no more islands, but for if they had high mountains, of course.
The heat in the world had become totally unbearable.
The temperature's now reaching 140 degrees at some time.
Crops would no longer grow.
A new but rare and expensive form of food pill extended life.
For some of the rich,
Most people really had no place to go.
the pace of the disaster
Was startling,
exceeding even the grimmest of predictions by scientists.
Australia's population, being mostly coastal, had retreated somewhat to the thin edge between its useless interior and the deep blue sea. The great inland sea reappeared, then evaporated, and then returned. Meteorology had become a fruitless science.
Summer was now year-round everywhere.
The Great Lakes were enlarging, even with their locks having been closed.
For the water runneth over, resistance was
For
futile.
water was slippery stuff, its tiny hydrogen atoms easily rolling around the oxygen.
Various schemes and solutions had been endlessly debated.
Most of them being as tough on mankind as the heat.
The rest of them unattainable.
It was all happening much too quickly.
The estimates had been way off. Nature was now a dragon,
And she had roared
and was spewing her fiery breath upon her own fragile planet.
Some ever had tried to live in their basements, but the heat still found them. Some dug underground, but the floods came. Eskimos bored refrigerators and air conditioners. Many near extinctions had happened before, one being only 100,000 years ago, when, at Toba, in northern Sumatra, a supervolcano erupted during an ice age. 6 years of volcanic winter followed this eruption, bringing pre-humans to the very edge of elimination.
There were but a few thousand of them left around, since very little light could reach the dusty ground. It took 20,000 years for them to recompose from the cauldron of fire that had almost brewed humanity away. It was from this handful of hardy souls that we modern humans arose.
Due to the intense global warming, an ice melting that reached a runaway exponential point, such as in calculus, the weather patterns had been greatly altered and were bringing numerous and severe storms every day all over the globe, causing much interior flooding, plus wiping out most of the better crops that still had a chance to grow. Roads and tires had melted, the rate of destruction was becoming astronomical. No one could keep up with it. It was everyone for themselves.
Karen had started using a fleet of huge ocean liners to ferry the damn dead heat stroked across the river Styx.
Billions had perished
perished in a matter of a few years more, and there was little government infrastructure working anywhere. Humans were hardly a match for nature gone wild. It could and would only get worse unto the shore end.
Trump still said that the 2020 election was flawed.
Death seemed to be a way of life throughout history. That we were even here was due to the dinosaurs, and 90% of all the species being wiped out. A small and nervous shrew-like creature looked out and noted. The dinosaurs, the forever kings of the earth, were gone. Hooray, now I can evolve. The shrews attached to a favorable evolutionary line. Every single one of our forebears on both sides had survived. They being attractive enough to locate a loving mate with whom they'll love to celebrate.
It no longer mattered that humans were on a one-way trip from the quantum fluke, that maximal disorder within old Plaque's nook, to the escalation caused by the dark energy. The universe heading toward the oblivion of its sparse and accelerated expansion.
To extinction, for our world was ending now, or at least it was the beginning of the end. For the temperatures were still increasing daily.
Al Gore had been the last one into the washing bunkers, having steadfastly worked up to the end. Greta Thunberg went in with him. Some of the remaining nations of the world noted that they had indeed squandered the good things of life, squabbling over their differences in culture. Many had all been looking for truth in the wrong direction, which was back into the past of myth instead of to and for the future.
They had fiddled, and now the world was burning. The Ninja Empire Grandmasters and their teams flew into Nihao on their last tanks of gas. They're to take sanctuary in a vote for a desperate but uncertain plan. The landing strip now had a slight but tricky slope to it. Mountainous Nihao was somewhat unaffected, as were other of the higher island regions, although they were few and far between, for which the trade winds still brought some moderation yet. The subtropical and near-tropical areas were now all very much overly tropical.
On Nihao Jack, a young master, had to walk the last mile on the new beach that had formed inland. The world's roulette wheel was rolling 00 on what might soon be the last survivable day on Earth, and a hurricane was headed in his direction. Tsunamis had washed deeper and deeper inland everywhere. Most of the internet no longer functioned.
The top dragon, old rascal, as the new #1 West awaited them all. A rainbow appeared as the spirit of the previous Grandmaster West, flying through past them as the scent on the breeze, and as the vision of the courage to act. The votes had been counted, Grandmaster Rascal had now engaged one of the last working underground silos. Grandmaster Trish, #1 East, keyed in the codes and nodded to him, saying, would you like to do the honors? Yes, for unto me falls life's last duty. Nature will now have to contend with herself. It will be fire versus ice, dragon against dragon, just as shown by the picture on the great China wall. However, this could well be the end for all of us.
Or not, if it works, she answered.
Hopefully, global warming atmosphere, stopping it.
The years will tell.
It is our only hope.
Ashes will fall everywhere like snow, and then real snow will fall.
Roscoe, press the button. Nuclear missile